Welcome to Rabbit and Blue Radio with the Skeleton Crew, exclusively at horrorbid.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Rabbit and Blue Radio with the Skeleton Crew. This is Alex,
Michael J,
and our special guest host,
Dan Chase.
All right, guys, here we are. We're taking a trip to outer space. Now, you know, guys, normally when you hear insert name here goes to space, you roll your eyes and you say, oh boy, here we go. Leprechaun did it, Critters did it, Pinhead did it, which I actually thought was the best Hellraiser, but that's another story.
I've never watched that one, so I don't know.
Bloodline, very good. And now Jason does it. At least it's not like Jason vs. Predator. It could have went there.
Yeah.
You know?
That would have been cool. Then throw Schwarzenegger in it, too. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, can you imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Jason?
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
I'll kick your ass. And then it'd be Uber Jason versus Schwarzenegger. Let's bring it.
No, how about Terminator versus Uber Jason?
Oh, that'll be, yeah.
That'll work. All right, well, one of the ideas thrown around for Jason X was a winter setting at Camp Crystal Lake, and Sean Cunningham shot that down, and he said fans deserve something different. Do you not want to stomp him?
But a winter setting at Crystal Lake would have been different.
I agree. I think it would have given it a whole different, almost like a Shining vibe.
Dude, that would have been the greatest.
The hockey mask would have blended in with the snow.
Yeah.
Well, and let's face it, too, they've been talking about that for a while. They're still talking about it. If and when they do make another Friday the 13th movie, they were talking about implementing the snow idea and that, too. So, obviously, you know, they got something there, but hopefully they'll actually implement it.
Yeah, think of how you could kill people with snow.
All right. Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I actually enjoyed this movie on a few levels. Like, I didn't care much for the cast, but at the same time, I felt like they all fit together pretty well, you know?
Yep.
And weren't a lot of them on the same sci-fi TV show or something like that?
Yeah, see, I got that. I don't know that for a fact, Alex, but it definitely had that vibe.
Yeah.
Where it was almost like a, I don't want to say a sitcom or anything, but it's like you just said it. You know, it's almost like you could tell those people knew each other. There was definitely chemistry in that cast. I'll give it that, absolutely.
Yeah, it was, and the movie was pretty much the classic formula, but in a different environment. Like, you know, kind of like Jason Takes Manhattan. Once they upgraded Jason, it became like a cat and mouse kind of thing. You know,
Yep.
Despite all the one-liners, I think this was a pretty solid entry, and you know, better than the body hopping in Jason Goes to Hell. It was a really big improvement from there.
Absolutely. Well, I know Jason X, too. It started off as one thing when Todd Farmer wrote it, and, you know, it got taken in a different direction. It was supposed to be much darker. I know I've heard him say it was supposed to be kind of like an Alien vibe, you know, which would have been really dark or whatever, but, you know, they kind of went for the, see, the thing about this movie, too, I don't know if you guys noticed it. I don't know if it's the camera itself or maybe just the sets, but something about it, there's almost like a cheese factor to it. Do you guys know what I mean? It's almost like the way it's shot, it seems like a little out there. Nothing like the other installments. So I just found that kind of hard to get by. But overall, I had a lot of fun with this movie. And you've never seen Jason, you know, in a setting like that. And it was just fun, you know. And it's kind of one of those guilty pleasure movies, I must say, because it's not, you know, let's face it. Jason in space, yeah, it's a good idea. But the way it was kind of executed, it was a little cheesy. Would you agree? With the whole robot girl and all that.
It was good cheese.
The girl who fights Jason with the guns and everything and shoots Uber Jason, and then, you know, that whole thing, that was cheesy. And that scene, it kind of looked like some cheap, like, sci-fi TV show to me, that whole scene.
Exactly, Alex. That's what I was going for. Exactly, sir.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, what are the names of those shows? Like, Stargate, Battlestar Galactica.
Stargate, right, all that kind of stuff. And let's face it, too, you know, the only reason that they made this movie was to keep the rights to the franchise so they could make Freddy versus Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the main reason. And, you know, you got to give credit where credit's due. I think the script was okay, but let's just face it. If they stuck to Todd Farmer's original script, made it a little darker, I think it would have went over a lot better with the hardcore fans, to be honest with you, because the movie I had in my mind before, when they said Jason in space, like, oh God, here we go. Then you start really thinking about it, it's like they could make this really good. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, you might be setting yourself up here. Watch. If you stuck with his script, it's going to be compared to Alien, and it's going to fall flat.
Right. Oh, see, that was my next point, though. It's almost like you have to keep that cheese factor, and not to say that the movie's over the top cheesy the whole time, but you almost got to keep it at that light tone, because if you were to go that deep into it or whatever, I think it would have been, the perception of it would have been a lot different, because Jason's always been, you know, this scary entity. Well, I shouldn't say always. In the beginning, he was very scary. As time went on, as the movies went on, he got, you know, a little bit more campy or whatever. If they would have went in a different direction with this, especially in space, I just think it would have given the fans in general just a confused vibe. That's
right.
Just my thoughts on it, though.
Okay, how do you think the movie? You think it started off with a bang, like Mike when he killed 20 people? What did you? You think that was a nice little intro to the movie?
Oh, that totally was. Totally was. I mean, you know, it's like all of a sudden, like, he escapes. The one thing that I didn't get is why he had hair.
Well, supposedly it's all about the ability to regenerate.
That goes against itself, because they made other movies before this, and he never regenerated his hair.
Part 8, he looked a little more beefy than Part 7, so he kind of regenerated some meat there, and it was a little waterlogged, if you remember his forearms. They were like waterlogged.
Oh, yeah.
And then in this movie, no, I'm thinking of Freddy vs. Jason, he has 2 eyes again. So he regenerated that. This, if you remember, this was the only movie that he ever was brought back to life 2 times in.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You know?
Good call, Alex. I never thought about that before.
Because he comes back to life all the time. But First it was the frozen, then it was the rebuilding. Okay, remember how I said that Part 6 was the end of the Friday the 13th movies, and it was the start of the Jason movies?
Right.
Where it's like, it's no longer us seeing a story. Instead it was like putting on a show for us. This one was a show, left, right, and center. I mean, this movie, to me, was like a killing exhibition. Like, literally, let's see how creatively people can die. And you know what? The movie did its job.
Yep.
You know, I don't know why he needed to be in space to do that. I think he could have done that at Crystal Lake. I don't see the significance or urgency of why we needed to be in outer space to see this. But what do you think about that? Like, this was obviously a movie where we were supposed to be cheering for Jason the whole time.
Right.
Yep. I kind of love that aspect to it, to be honest with you. I love movies that know what they are, and this movie knew what it was, you know? I'll just end it like that, because let's face it, you know, these movies, whether you look at storyline or whatever, I think the best part, or one of the shining moments in all these movies is the creative kills, and the fact that whether you side with Jason or you find him scary or whatever, he's the one continuing thing. And let's face it, you know, like I said, whether you feel for him or not, it's fun to watch him dismember people, kill people, knock off their heads off of buildings, all that kind of stuff. So when you go back to almost kind of back to form, and when I say that, back to form, kind of take out, you know, a lot of the story aspects, it's a killing fest. It's just kills, you know?
Right. Yeah. And
I know a lot of people don't like that, but like I said, when a film knows what it is and doesn't try to say, oh, well, we got, you know, we're going to build these characters and, you know, so you'll care for them more. No, I mean, they have a freaking robot shooting Jason up, like, you know, with
their
like a
nipples
machine
falling
gun.
off.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, it's basically like, listen, guys, we know what we're doing here. We know it's kind of stupid, but you know what? We're going anyways. You guys coming along for the ride or what?
Exactly. I think that's what made this movie good. It was honest.
Right.
It was an honest movie, and that if you're honest and you do something honestly, you'll always win someone over. It's just, it's impossible not to, unless they're not real people. They're like phonies or something.
And can I say something, too, about this movie? When I first saw it, I didn't like it. I did not like it because, like I said, preconceived notions going into movies has a lot to do with it, especially with me. So going into it, I did expect one thing. Now, with that said, after viewing it, maybe after the second or third time, I found myself smiling a lot of the movie, just saying, dude, this is a lot of fun. You know, it's no part 2 or part 4 or anything like that. It's a different entity, but you got to look at the times too. We're in a different time, you know. Jason can't, unless you're going to remake it or, you know, like you said, think of something really cool, like put him up against Freddy, you know, put him in space and having him just, as you know, in the middle of a kill fest. It's not a bad idea to me. I think it's pretty cool.
Well, that's the thing. I don't get the general hatred for this film because in Jason Lives, he's resurrected by a lightning bolt. In The New Blood, he gets his ass kicked by a girl with telekinesis. But in Jason X, the one where he just goes into space, which is something people actually do, fans decide that the studio has gone too far.
Yeah, I never got it. Who cares, you know?
Well, you know, Jason's still doing the teleportation thing to get place to place. And not only is Kane Hodder playing Jason again, but you can actually, like, recognize him.
Yeah, right?
With the hair and all, yeah.
The hair and the eye.
I did love Uber Jason, too, by the way. I thought that was one of the coolest things ever.
Did you?
Yep. For what it was. Like I said, any other movie, I would have been like, are you kidding me? But you know what? Stuff like that, I could believe in a movie like that. Obviously, it's in space and, you know, the regeneration things or whatever. It makes sense to a point, obviously. Now, how the hockey mask turned into a big metal thing, it's just a lot of that doesn't
that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. You're right. But like I said before, you just go along with it because it's almost that stupid that you're just like, all right, well, whatever. But it was cool to see him in a different costume and almost like, I don't know. I've always been a fan of that type of stuff. You know, new costumes, like when the new Batman came out, I used to love, okay, this is what the new costume looks like. So when they switched it up, it wouldn't go over well with me if it was in any other movie. But this movie, it fits, and it almost fits so well that's why I love it, you know?
Mike, what do you think of the characters in this movie? Like, you got the girl at the corn. You know what I like about it? Like, I didn't like the characters, but they were almost, this movie was kind of like, definitely wanted to make you root for Jason. Like the girl with the cornrows and stuff, when she was like, let's smoke this fucker.
Let's smoke this fucker.
I loved
that. Was lovely.
I loved watching her gargle to death on her own blood. Like that, because you're like, yeah, bitch, now what? You know, it almost set you up to root for Jason. And, you know, the basic way is to have him kill, interestingly. Now they set you up with lines.
We'll see the lines, too, coming from Todd Farmer. He writes a lot of those kind of over-the-top, badass lines. Now, how that was perceived in this movie, especially coming from a girl with cornrows or whatever you want to call it, you know, it can be perceived different ways. But, you know, knowing that Todd Farmer wrote it, maybe I'm a little biased, but I totally listened to every line and just kind of got a little chuckle out of it because I know that's his style, and I know that's what they were going for. They didn't just insert that going along trying to, you know, ham it up or amp up the cheese factor. Like I said, it just goes, like we were saying, they made a conscious effort to make a movie the way it came out, and that's exactly what it did. It came out exactly how they wanted it to.
Right. They should have had that space fight in there. I think they shot it. It's a shame they cut it out.
Yeah, he goes, didn't he die? Oh, he didn't die. He said it's going to take more than a poke in the chops to kill this guy. Then Jason rams something else through him, and then wait, didn't he die or no?
Yeah, I think he did.
That's when he died. Yeah. Oh, so Jason didn't go to... I'm thinking Jason flew through space and broke the atmosphere of Earth, too, and landed in another lake.
He did. That was the end of the movie.
That was at the end, yeah.
And he was alone when he did that? I could have sworn that guy was in this movie again.
Yeah, we should have watched it before.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember that exact point, but I do know that at the end... See, the thing is, though, at the end... The mask landed at the bottom of Crystal Lake on Earth 2.
It was called Crystal Lake again?
Yeah, it was called Crystal... I think it was Crystal Lake, yeah.
What are the coincidences that Jason would come from outer space, break the atmosphere of a different planet, and land in a lake, and it's called Crystal Lake?
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah, the whole Earth 1 and Earth 2 thing doesn't make any sense either. But you know what?
Well,
this is one of those movies where I shrug and say, okay, I buy it.
I like it. I think it was cool. He was like, it's dead. The oceans, the soil, neither will sustain life.
And guys, can we get into the hologram scene too? Because I love that scene. I love it because I thought that was perfectly executed. I thought people wanted to see him, you know, hacking up some campers and stuff like that. So
I
think it was done in a good way, but not only that, that kill, come on, that was one of the best in the series.
We love to have premarital sex and smoke pot.
Yeah, you know what, though? What do you think New Line was like? Don't you think they were flat out insulting the entire Friday the 13th franchise with that? Like, what were they trying to say?
No, I thought they were paying, like, homage to it or homage. I thought that's what they were doing.
I thought they were mocking it.
Well, but didn't the franchise by this point wasn't mocking itself to begin with?
Right. That's my feeling on it, Mike. I think, like I said before, this movie knows what it is. So with that, it kind of fit in perfectly with the whole theme of it, saying, you know, the camp aspect, and not you know, literally speaking like Camp Crystal Lake. I just mean, you know, the camp. You know, you guys know what I'm saying.
Right.
And just hamming it up and stuff like that. Now, see, this is why reviewing a movie like this is tough, because that can be perceived one way or the other. Same as Evil Dead 2. You know, you could say, this movie's so dumb, like, you know what I mean? Or you could look at it like, well, it knew exactly what it was. This is what it was going for, and I dig it. And I dug this movie because it knew what it was going for, you know?
Yep. Any what the F moments here? I got one I can think of.
Okay, what do you got?
Jason's laying on the table. I don't think he was fully thought out at this point. The girl takes a knife, cuts his mask off, cuts the straps and everything, and then somehow he's wearing the mask again.
Yeah.
Even though the straps were cut. That was always the weirdest thing to me from the first time I saw it.
And can I say this about that scene? One of the best kills is right after that.
Oh, totally.
Oh, I love it. When he puts her face into the what is it? Liquid nitrogen?
Yeah, it's liquid nitrogen. Yep.
And then just smashes it. Oh, I love that, dude. I think that's one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen in my life.
I've never heard a movie theater cheer so loud.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Alex, see, now I didn't see this in the theaters just because I was apprehensive about it and I didn't know at the time. Now, like I said, after I saw it, I began to like it after. But now, when you saw it in the theater, your initial response, was it the response that you have now after seeing it a few times? Was it, oh, I really like this, or?
This is one of the rare movies that grew on me. I normally have the opposite effect of how things are really great when you go to see them, and then when you get home and have them on DVD at the time, and you watch it by the third viewing, it's like, I don't really know if this is a great movie like I thought it was. This is one of those movies where I was like, well, I guess the days of, like, you know, part 1 through 8 are gone. I guess this is all we're going to get, really, these kind of movies. And you know what? You realize that you got all your movies, you still got them, you still got the first 8, and let's take a look at this a couple more times, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? It's not that bad. It's pretty cool.
Jason X is the perfect movie to get drunk with your friends and watch.
Yeah. And I'll argue that, arguably, even though all the historic kills, the wheelchair, going down the wheelchair, Jack in part 1, part 3 getting split down the middle, part 4, the corkscrew and all that stuff,
yep.
That face smash might be the greatest kill ever in any Jason movie.
I agree.
Yeah, it's got to be.
If not, it's definitely in the top 5.
We're willing to say that, but the truth isn't that it's crazy, but it just might be. You know?
It's just so badass, you know? But that's the thing about the whole space aspect, too. In what other situation would that happen?
Yeah,
you know,
never,
it's not going to happen in any other Jason movie. It's almost like by putting them in space, they had free reign to do pretty much whatever they wanted, which was cool. Right. It was cool to see Jason do those things, as opposed to, oh, we got blown up, now we don't know what to do with them, so we're going to have, you know, guy going around eating hearts.
Oh, please, Please, that was a nightmare. I don't want to relive that.
Yeah, we're done. Sorry. Moving along.
All right, so let's get to some awards here, unless you got anything else to add.
Yeah, no,
I think.
I hit it.
Yeah, we covered it. Okay. Originality, the storyline.
10.
I'm not even sure of the storyline once again.
Yeah, what?
He goes on a spaceship and kills people.
Kills people.
Okay, that's original, I suppose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hottest girls. Obviously, the lead girl is super cute.
But Janessa, I think, is the hottest girl in the film.
Oh, I think Rowan's super hot, man.
She was all right, but what has she done for me lately? Not much.
What'd she ever do for you?
Nothing.
Okay. Sex and nudity, I give it a 1 because I don't need to see robot tits with no nipples.
That was pretty sweet, though.
I don't think there was any other nudity, was there?
No, the virtual Crystal Lake scene.
But, yes, okay, that was all right. And then you got the fantastic scene of the girl with the nipple clamps twisting the...
Yeah, that's Janessa.
Yeah, twisting her professors or teachers. Well, I don't know what he was.
Oh my God, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, that was. I'll tell you what, that was fun.
Can that be described as a what the fuck moment too?
Yes, it's absolutely one of them. Kills. I think the kills were superb.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I don't know a bad one. I'm trying to think.
I don't think there was.
Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back. Whew.
I give it an 8.
Okay, you give this movie an 8.
I'd give it a 6.
I give it a 7.
7, yep.
Oh, there you go.
Right on.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this installment of the 12 Days of Friday the 13th. We'll see you tomorrow when the battle that has been on hold for 88, 98, 2008, minus 4, that's 16 years?
Wow.
Yeah, the Clash of the Horror Titans, so to speak.
How did they do? Was it a letdown? Was it everything you thought it would be? We'll let you know what you thought of it on the next episode
That's right.
of the Skeleton Crew, exclusively on Harbid.com.
And then it'd be Uber Jason versus Schwarzenegger. Let's bring it.
No, how about Terminator versus Uber Jason?
That'll be, yeah.
That'll work. All right, well, one of the ideas thrown around for Jason X was a winter setting at Camp Crystal Lake, and Sean Cunningham shot that down, and he said fans deserve something different. Do you not want to stomp him?
But a winter setting at Crystal Lake would have been different.
I agree. I think it would have given it a whole different, almost like a Shining vibe.
Dude, that would have been the greatest.
The hockey mask would have blended in with the snow.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and let's face it, too, they've been talking about that for a while. They're still talking about it. If and when they do make another Friday the 13th movie, they were talking about implementing the snow idea and that, too. So, obviously, you know, they.
Welcome to Rabbit and Blue Radio with the Skeleton Crew, exclusively at Harbid.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Rabbit and Blue Radio with the Skeleton Crew. This is Alex.
Michael J.
And our special guest host,
Dan Chase.
All right, guys, here we are. We're taking a trip to outer space. Now, you know, guys, normally when you hear insert name here goes to space, you roll your eyes and you say, oh boy, here we go. Leprechaun did it, Critters did it, Pinhead did it, which I actually thought was the best Hellraiser, but that's another story.
I've never watched that one, so I don't know.
Bloodline, very good. And now Jason does it. At least it's not like Jason vs. Predator. It could have went there.
Yeah.
You know?
That would have been cool. Then throw Schwarzenegger in it, too. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, can you imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Jason?
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
I'll kick your ass.
I got something there, but hopefully they'll actually implement it.
Yeah, think of how you could kill people with snow.
All right.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I actually enjoyed this movie on a few levels. Like, I didn't care much for the cast, but at the same time, I felt like they all fit together pretty well, you know?
Yep.
And weren't a lot of them on the same sci-fi TV show or something like that?
Yeah, see, I got that. I don't know that for a fact, Alex, but it definitely had that vibe.
Yeah.
Where it was almost like a I don't want to say a sitcom or anything, but it's like you just said it. You know, it's almost like you could tell those people knew each other. There was definitely chemistry in that cast. I'll give it that, absolutely.
Yeah, it was, and the movie was pretty much the classic formula, but in a different environment. Like, you know, kind of like Jason Takes Manhattan. Once they upgraded Jason, it became like a cat and mouse kind of thing.
Yep.
Despite all the one-liners, I think this was a pretty solid entry, and you know, better than the body hopping in Jason Goes to Hell. It was a really big improvement from there.
Absolutely. Well, I know Jason X too. It started off as one thing when Todd Farmer wrote it, and you know it got taken in a different direction. It was supposed to be much darker. I know I've heard him say it was supposed to be kind of like an Alien vibe, you know, which would have been really dark or whatever. But you know they kind of went for the. See, the thing about this movie too, I don't know if you guys noticed it. I don't know if it's the camera itself or maybe just the sets. But something about it, there's almost like a cheese factor to it. Do you guys know what I mean? It's almost